Alright, so what I wanted to go over with this video is our decision making as far as when we should be coming off the ball and conceding it to the player behind us, and also how we should be reacting as the player in the back if the player on the ball doesn't concede the ball in a situation where he should. So let's take a look at this play, and then I'll break down what happens here. Alright, so now let's take a look at what went wrong in that play and what we could have done better to prevent that from happening. So we have kickoff here. Back pass, and here, I'm going to pause. So let's take a look at Casey here. So at this point, he was right to be up and be challenging, but at this point, he's now turned all the way backwards to where his car is actually pointing backwards away, and he's now chasing the ball in this direction. At this point, your angle is now turned backwards to where you're going to have a much harder time being able to, first of all, catch up to it. It's going to take you a lot longer to get around and up to it, and also you're going to need a lot more control. Not that you can't do it, but it would be a lot easier for Nick Nack to come in and get the touch here. So if we continue at half speed, so now Nick's coming, and he has to hit the brakes because Casey has now come in. So if at this point, the first mistake was continuing to chase here. The second mistake was trying to stay back and have Casey's back once he's done this. So at this point, he's now shown that he's coming up this way. The correct maneuver here by Nick Nack to fix this mistake would to be play support and start moving up and out. You don't need to be the goalie because you have Spoopy already coming in to the backside through the gate. So you're free to just do a half rotation here, start to assist out, and if Casey doesn't get this popped out, you can just turn back and fall in line over here. What happens here is when you get cut off and you hit the brakes, you get stuck in this corner right here, and there's not really too much you can do. And as we see, Nick has trouble moving back, and Spoopy can't come out because there's nobody here on the backside after this happens. So either Casey needs to abandon this and let Nick Nack come in sooner and come around to have Spoopy's back, or if that doesn't happen and we have a maneuver like this, Nick Nack needs to be moving out and across, ready to either replace Spoopy on the defensive side or turn up offensively to help Casey. Alright, so if we let that play continue, Casey gets the touch, but now Nick Nack's still in a weird place. He can't really move up. Spoopy doesn't know how, like, if he should be coming up and through or if he needs to stay back. Nick's kind of stuck here in this corner, and Casey doesn't have any assist on the front. And this is kind of what happens when you get that 1, 2, 3. Basically, you get that man who's stuck in the middle. And now we're in a lot of trouble here, because now Spoopy can't actually play this backside without having a man coming to replace him, and Nick Nack can't do much other than play shadow defense, which is going to be very similar to where Spoopy's coming in, and you have a lot of chance for miscommunication, and possibly getting one play to juke multiple players, which is something you never want to have happen. So as this comes up, now Nick's still in an awkward spot. He doesn't have his momentum as this comes tapping across, and Spoopy doesn't have any help on the backside, so he has to respect, and then it's just forced through. Alright, so the next decision-making issue that I wanted to go over here is similar, except on the offensive side, specifically in this case when we cross the ball from the left to the right side of the field or vice versa. In this example here, we have Knickknack challenging the ball in the front left over here. And he's going to follow the ball across after we get the successful cross to the right side of the field. So let's take a look at what happens here and why it's an issue. So Knickknack successfully gets the ball across and follows the ball across the field here. So he's cut across towards the ball from the far side here, and the problem with that is now that we're overloaded. So Casey's challenging this. Spoopy has to have his back over here, which means that there's nobody covering this whole side of the field here. If they identify this right here, that everybody's on the same side, which both of these players can clearly see from ball cam. They can see all three of you, so they should be able to identify this here. They now know that this is a free clear. So any kind of touch towards the middle here, if they boom it back this way, they're going to have pure control of it just based on the positioning here. The only person who could possibly challenge them would be Spoopy here, but what he would have to do is he'd have to turn and then go all the way back this way, whereas Lion Blaze or DD could just quickly catch it right here. So in this scenario, Spoopy's most likely going to have to turn back and play backside defense here. And again, that also leaves the possibility of probably a 2v1 fast break if BP is able to get any kind of touch out over this way, or if Casey goes for the shot, which since Knickknack is now over here, Casey doesn't have any option as far as the pass other than to bang it off the backboard back to Spoopy. Which is an option, but again, Spoopy doesn't have any backup over here. And also, it would be coming from the same side that both defenders are already looking to. So we've taken away our best option, being the backside cross by this position. The last thing I wanted to talk about here for this video is our defense to offensive transitions and how these rotations should be done. We seem to get it right most of the time, but this is still happening, I'd say, maybe 30% of the time when we're transitioning onto offense. So I did at least want to address it. So here we have Spoopy on the ball side, who's going to be moving up to challenge DD. Casey's in the back, and he's going to be moving up and out to support. And Nick is playing, looking for the cross, the backboard, and looking to replace Casey as we come in. Is how this should happen. But if we watch what happens here, instead what we have is Knickknack cut across here. So in right here, now that Nick's come over to play this mid roll, and I'm assuming moving back out to play the up position, Casey's in a weird spot. So he's already pushed out of goal, expecting to have another man coming in back through the gate here. However, when he sees Knickknack here, now he knows that he has to stop and be the back man. So while he was pushing up close, with Spoopy looking to have this positioning, he now needs to hit the brakes to create this space. And also, he's very vulnerable because now there's nobody on this side of the field over here. So that if the touch gets launched out to the side, he's going to have a tough time hunting this ball down and potentially saving a ball here. And if it does stay on this side, he now has to do shadow defense, protect the goal that's behind him with an odd space about halfway between the ball and the goal, which is just a very difficult position.